Hi everyone, my name is Amanda Green and I'm a professional couples counselor. Welcome to my channel where we learn how to evolve in love. Last time I introduced my new book, The Butterfly Blueprint, Revitalize Your Relationship and Keep Your Heart Fluttering Forever. I shared a summary last time of chapter 1 entitled Nature Made Relationships This Way. These videos build on one another, so I recommend you watch the first one before this one. Today we're diving into chapter 2 called Opposites Attract and Repel. It's all about the magnetic push and pull that keep things exciting and also often a little bit chaotic in our relationships. We've all heard the saying, opposites attract, right? Well, back in the 1950s, psychologist Robert Winch actually proved this with his complementarity theory, showing that we're often drawn to people who have qualities we either lack or really admire. Let me tell you about Lilly and Jake. When they first met, Lilly was drawn to Jake's calm, thoughtful nature, whereas he found Lily's bubbly energy fun and refreshing. Their differences were complementary. Lilly pulled Jake out of his shell, while Jake grounded Lilly in moments of stress. Remember the butterfly metaphor and the Venn diagram overlaid on top. You can picture Lily's characteristics as being in one circle and Jake's characteristics as being in the other circle. So bubbly and social, introverted and quiet. And at the beginning, these characteristics, even though they were opposing, were complementary. That shared circle area was harmonious. Then, when they moved to a new city for Jake's job, external pressure started to intensify. Lilly struggled with loneliness and missed her family and friends back home, while Jake became more focused on work. When they had kids, things became even more stressful. Lilly wanted to spend time together as a family and make friends with other couples who had young kids, where Jake was more of a homebody and just wanted to decompress after work, playing video games, having a beer. They found themselves on diverging paths. The same traits that had initially attracted them to one another, her bubbly nature, his more quiet nature, were now pushing them apart as they each became more isolated in the relationship. So what happened? Life and relationships are dynamic. Many of the couples that I've worked with over the years have complained to me saying, my partner knew I was this way when we met. My partner knew I loved to travel. My partner knew sex was very important to me. And now there's no room for these things in our relationship. This isn't what I signed up for. This isn't fair. The fact of the matter is, just as we discussed last time with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, our needs and desires are in a constant state of evolution, and we're always developing and changing as we move up that hierarchy. Similarly, our environment is always changing. External factors around us. We have kids, we move, we get a job, we lose a job. We experience loss and death. We have financial changes or family obligations, cultural expectations, health concerns. Life is always changing, which means that in that Venn diagram, the shared circle area is always expanding and contracting, meaning that the outlier areas on each side are also simultaneously expanding and contracting. We go through ups and downs, highs and lows, times where we feel connected, times where we feel disconnected, more compatible, incompatible. It's that attraction and then repulsion that mixes things up and confuses us. We want to feel in harmony, in sync, on the same page, and yet it's so difficult to maintain that balance when everything is in a constant state of flux, and these contrasts between you and your partner are always shifting, like shifting sands in the desert. It's tricky to navigate. It's like being on a roller coaster ride. Imagine an infinity sign going round and round this infinity sign, which is a lot like a Venn diagram. The difference is there's no shared space in the middle. There's no body of the butterfly or shared vision. As we go around and loop around on this roller coaster ride or this infinity sign, our tolerance for differences erodes. Each partner becomes more entrenched in their position or side over time with each loop and each twist of the cycle. Kind of like being on the Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland. All of a sudden there's a you and a me, but no we. So back to Lilly and Jake. The differences that once brought balance now feel like incompatibilities. Lilly and Jake found themselves constantly out of sync. Lilly felt like Jake no longer understood her, and Jake felt that Lilly was no longer the person he fell in love with. This growing disconnection led them to question whether they were still on the same team or simply two people moving in different directions, like ships passing in the night. When Lilly tried to talk about it, Jake felt blamed and attacked, like he did something wrong or was failing her. He'd get defensive before he'd leave and then shut down. Lilly tried to empathize with Jake's need for solitude, but without his reciprocal understanding, her resentment grew along with their emotional divide. Misunderstandings became more and more frequent, eroding the tolerance they once had for each other's quirks. The same repetitive arguments circled back time and again, with neither feeling heard or validated. Jake's silence frustrated Lilly, while Lily's insistence on talking things through overwhelmed Jake. Nothing got resolved. In the end, they found that the very traits that had once brought them together were now driving them apart. Their story is a powerful reminder of how, over time, opposites repel. This is when we start to experience tension, friction, strain and stress, irritation, resentment, frustration. Our patience and resilience erodes, and we're no longer as willing to overlook those differences, to accommodate. Most couples ask for help with communication when they come in, but it's not help with communication that we need. It's not even help with the content when it comes to money, sex, in-laws, workload, parenting, all these issues. It's also not about the stuck patterns we get into, whether we're attacking or defending, or even past traumas and triggers. Nobody is broken in your relationship. Nobody needs to be fixed. When opposites repel, what we need to do is learn to make room in the in-between space to build that shared place, the body of the butterfly, so that we can build balance between us consciously. When these opposites start to repel, it's 100% natural and inevitable. Our desires and needs constantly change. External factors are also constantly in flux. We're all in the same boat. We don't control the dynamic nature of life and relationships. They are like the seasons, always transforming. This is nobody's fault. And it's not a sign of failure. It doesn't mean you're incompatible. Opposites attract, so you come together and intertwine your lives. And then they repel to give you the chance to come closer again, consciously, intentionally, and deliberately. We have to make efforts and exert ourselves to bridge those gaps. Otherwise, we're like plants and animals that are operated instinctually by nature. We can't dodge nature's laws around balance and interdependence. We are part of nature, not above it or beyond it. We're subject to nature too. We have two choices: to go along with nature and enjoy relative harmony, or fight against it and experience unnecessary suffering and conflict. It's like learning the rules of the game. You can do it the easy way or the hard way. You can pay now, upfront, freely and proactively, or pay later, painfully, under duress, and with interest. The dynamic nature of relationships keeps us on our toes. We have to be aware of all these changes and fluctuations. We have to tweak and adjust, adapt, in order to maintain balance within and between us. This balance is delicate, like the wings of a butterfly. Contrasts bring life into life. We need to make room between us for the differences, so we have an opportunity to turn these gaps into gifts, or these obstacles into opportunities, so we can work purposefully together to bridge them, expand outside of our comfort zones and limitations. Those pesky differences are where all the magic happens, where all the potential resides to get what you want and more. The thing is, you've got to want it. You've got to want to both win and aim for conscious complementary connection in order for it to work. It takes two willing partners to turn that empty space between you into a shared place, Like the saying goes, it takes two to tango. Your strengths and quirks can come together to create something amazing. An ultimate dynamic duo. Okay, that's all I'm going to say today on Chapter 2. Please comment with any thoughts, feelings, or questions. Thank you so much for being here. Join us next time for Chapter 3. We perceive branches, not roots. Thanks again.